kind of a newcomer to the semifinals of the U.S. Open. And then we have a Carreno Busto, a Spanish tennis player. He's 26 years old. He turned pro in 2011. His best showing in a major championship tournament was the quarterfinals, the final 8 of the French Open. So he's in the semis for the first time at the U.S. Open. And the U.S. Open is played in New York, so that's where that tournament takes place. And then we have, many of you probably know this guy, Rafael Nadal. He is a 15-time Grand Slam major champion. A lot of times, a lot of people call him the king of the clay courts. The bulk of his Grand Slam championships have been won on clay. Now, he does well on the hard courts, too. He's won a couple of Australian Opens and U.S. Opens, but this is the first time he's been back in the semifinals in the U.S. Open in a while. He's been dealing with some injuries and stuff. And right now, we got the GOAT himself, Roger Federer,
Definitely.
Currently in a match right now with Juan Martín del Potro. And we'll get a score on that for you in just a minute. But we do know Roger Federer is the all-time Grand Slam leading champion in tennis. He has 19 championships, the most all-time. Facing Juan Martín del Potro, who has one major championship. He won the 2009 U.S. Open Championship, where he beat Roger Federer 8 years ago in the final to win his first and only Grand Slam championship. So this is going to be a really good match between those two. Roger Federer is kind of getting up there in age where, he's kind of getting to the point of where he, maybe in his last few years of tennis, maybe Rafael Nadal as well. So Roger Federer could be trying to make that last push before he calls it quits. I mean, he doesn't really have anything else to accomplish.
And going into this match, like we said, we're going to give you a live scoring because the match is going on right now. Federer versus Del Potro. They're currently going into their second set. Del Potro actually took the first set 7-5. And now in the second set, Roger Federer is in the lead with 2-1.
And tennis, guys, on the men's side, the only way you can win the match is you have to win 3 sets. The most sets you can play is 5 sets. And then usually you'll play 12 games per set. If you end in a 6-6 tie, you have to go to a tie break, and the first person to 7 or to win by 2 in the tie break wins. And, you have to win 3 out of the 5 sets to move on. So Roger Federer, we know, is the GOAT. I would definitely love to see if it shakes out this way, a possible Nadal-Federer matchup again. It seems like when those two always get together, it's kind of like they're the two greats at what they're doing right now. So I love Nadal was like the first person I can remember when Federer was just beasting everybody that really stood up to Roger Federer and gave Roger Federer a lot of problems. Yeah. He actually has a winning record versus Roger Federer, one of the few people that can say that. What do you think about possibly those two possibly meeting up again?
I would love to see it, man. Like I said, as much as I maybe do or don't watch tennis, I know that these two are the top tier for men's tennis today. I like Nadal. I feel like I know he's younger, and I feel like I don't know how to say it. I guess like maybe his athleticism is more kind of youthful, I guess, to me, just how he moves on the court. Federer does move. I'm not taking that away from him, but just for me, he seems more like he has more accuracy. He doesn't have to move around that much. Like, his accuracy can put it where he needs to be. He can play people where they have to defend him, so he doesn't have to move as much. So I like that about Federer. I would love to see this match again. Between the two, though, maybe this would be his Tom Brady moment. He gets one. Well, Peyton Manning moment, because Tom Brady's still in. So maybe this might be his last open win. Because, like you said, he is going into the later years of his career. And if he is deciding to leave, it would be perfect to go out in the sunset with another championship.
Mm-hmm. And then that would give him 20 Grand Slam titles if he wins this one. usually Federer is really known for he can play all surfaces. Both him and Rafael Nadal can play the clay courts. They can play the hard courts and the grass. But Federer is always, to me, been better on grass. To me, his style of play just always seems to be better on the grass court. And Nadal is kind of better on clay. Nadal, to me, is more of the grinder out of it. He's the guy that kind of grinds it. He kind of makes you get into it when you watch him play because he's like very emotional. He gets very passionate about what he does. And then you got Federer, to me, is kind of like the maestro. He just makes it look elegant. He just makes it look like he's just...
He doesn't seem to be trying. It doesn't seem hard.
He just makes it look very easy. He's swift with his execution, I would say. But you do have two veteran tennis players going up against some new guys, and like Kevin Anderson and Carreno Busto. But then Del Potro is not an easy pushover either. I mean, he's got a big serve. He's not as flexible in terms of like grinding it out, but he does have a good forehand and he does have a big serve. And most of the time in tennis, if you have a great serve, that gives you an opportunity to win because you can kind of dictate how you want to play your match. So we'll keep a close eye on this and how this goes. And the Open Championship will probably be Sunday or Monday coming up. You'll figure out who will be playing for the championship. We're getting down to the final four. We do know Nadal, Federer, and Del Potro have won the U.S. Open before, so they've been there, done that. And then you have the two new guys in there that's trying to win their first ever championship in tennis. So we'll keep an eye on that. So now we're going to switch over to the women's side. We got some newcomers as well. We got Madison Keys and Kanepi. They are in a match right now. I don't know if that one has gone final yet. We'll have Simo check that for me while we're talking about them.
Score update. The match is over, and Keys has taken the match in 2 straight sets of 6.
All right, so Keys is through. She is still looking for her first major title. She has done some really good things over the past few years in tennis. She is, I think she's the dork horse person in this, that she could potentially take this tournament. So you don't want to sleep on her. She's doing some really good things. Then we had an earlier match today with Coco Vandeweghe and Pliskova. Vandeweghe wins that one. First set was 7-6, and then she won it in a tiebreak, 7-4 in the tiebreak, and then she wins the second set 6-3. Now with Vandeweghe, this is kind of new territory for her. She's the 20th ranked player in the Tennis Association right now on the women's side. She beat the number 1 player, Pliskova, today, so that's a huge win for her. That's going to give her a lot of momentum going into the semifinals of the women's side. I mean, to beat the number 1 player, that's huge. But we all know why that Pliskova is the number 1 player. We know Serena had to do her thing, have her baby. So when she come back, she gonna dominate.
Oh, definitely.
And be
also,
back where she needs to be.
Congratulations to Serena for a healthy, I think, baby girl. I'm not totally sure on it, but last I checked, I remember saying that she gave birth to a healthy baby girl. So congratulations.
So congratulations to Serena Williams on that. Can't wait till she gets back into everything. But Vandeweghe, she's been a semifinalist earlier this year at the Australian Open, so she was in the Final Four of the Australian Open. She was also a quarterfinalist, she was in the Final 8 at Wimbledon this year. So, and then now at the U.S. Open, she's in the Final Four. So she's had a pretty good year in terms of the big championships that they play in tennis, going very far in that. And then we got a familiar face in Venus Williams.
Definitely.
Still holding it down. She got a win today. She had to go 3 sets. So in tennis, when you have to go to the final set, it's kind of like overtime in a sense, as like basketball or football. So she was pushed to the brink today from Kvitova, but she won 6-3. The first set, lost the second set 3-6, and then came back and won the final set in a tiebreak 7-6. The score of the tiebreak was 7-2. Now, Venus Williams is a two-time U.S. Open champion. The last time she won the title was back-to-back years in 2000 and 2001. Overall, she's a 7-time major champion. So she's won 2 U.S. Open titles and 5 Wimbledon championships. So she's back in the semifinals. And that's good for American tennis because a lot of, on both sides of men, and especially more on the men's side, we don't really see a lot of American tennis players really. I think the really last great American tennis player I can see on the men's side is Andy Roddick. Was the last person I can remember that really did something. He didn't really last that long, but we got some young talent in America in terms of tennis players, but really right now the foreign nations are really still holding the tennis side of things down. But back to the women, also another American, African American, I would say, Sloane Stephens is through to the semifinals as well. Today she won versus Sevastova. She won the first set 6-3, lost the second set 3-6, and then won the final set 7-6, winning a 7-4 tiebreak, overtime in tennis, so to speak. So both Venus and Sloane Stephens were pushed to the limit today to advance, going through tiebreaks. And as you know, we play in tennis. Tiebreaks can go either way. You have a lot going for you. What do you think about these 2 American women, both of them being Black African American women, in the semifinals?
I think, man, that's really a great thing. Like you said about the tiebreakers, I had to say, like, that's really a momentum push. Like you said, it can go either way. It's really on who has the momentum, who can, everything in your skill set has to play perfectly for you to take the advantage on the tiebreaker. But for Venus Williams and Sloane Stephens, I love the triumphantness of being 2 United States born and bred African American women who are dominating. And I honestly, I know things can't go my way, but I would wish that this would have been the finals.
I agree.
And I feel like this is going to be a finals caliber match, between these 2. And I know for the women, not to say that this is the only thing that we excel in, because we definitely have taken over the WNBA. But to see it in a sport like this.
Old girl with the Olympics last year too, the gymnastics.
Simone Staples.
Yeah. She's
definitely, and stuff like that, like situations where it goes to Olympics things and sports that I guess you would say kind of unconventional for us. Like the main sports that we focus on as being in the United States really is basketball, football, and baseball, which they say baseball is America's best pastime. But I mean, I don't believe that anymore. Like considering how much everybody follows football and now basketball. Really, I think basketball is taking over. But just for this sport in tennis itself, to see 2 United States African American women and a newcomer in Sloane Stephens, because we know for years the Williams, sisters.
They were like the only.
Right. They were dominant. So to see another one that's not just like a family kind of tradition thing is actually really great for our culture in general and for our country. So.
And then she turned pro. She's young, so she turned pro in 2010. Right. Zero glance. She hasn't yet to win a major title. She's been in a semifinal before in a Grand Slam. She made it to the 2013 Australian Open semifinal. So she doesn't have a lot of experience going for her.
Okay.
But, going up against Venus, who is experienced, maybe that age could play a factor, in terms of her possibly pulling the upset. But like I'm with you, I wish that could have kind of been the final itself. But I still think we're going to get a great match out of it. And then their final match will be on Saturday. The women's final will be on Saturday to determine who's going to be the 2017 U.S. Open champion. And then on the men's side, we'll have their final usually on Sunday, sometimes Monday, but sometimes the weather can play a factor and whether they have to postpone the match or whatever. But that's just a little tidbit on tennis. We're not going to spend too much time on it, but that is the U.S. Open and how things are shaking out right now with that major championship.
So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and fade out for a little bit. We're going to be coming back to you with college football. I'm going to talk about some things that went on in this